State, Boston College against Clemson. Wake Forest takes on Notre Dame. Virginia Tech faces Florida State. The MAC tournament gets underway tomorrow with top overall seed Toledo battling Kent State. Central Michigan faces Bowling Green. Akron against Miami of Ohio. The Ohio Bobcats battle Western Michigan. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Flash. Chuck Sanders, Western Reserve Radio.
Did you hear? Macy's one-day sale starts Tuesday. Refresh your wardrobe for spring with great deals on brands you know, like 40 to 60% off Anne Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Style & Co. and more. And add your flair with 30 to 50% off shoes, handbags, and accessories. Plus, get 15 to 65% off home updates from Cuisinart, Lennox, and more. Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase, except gift card services and fees. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Get the one and done you want for your dog's monthly protection. NexGard Plus, a Foxolaner, Moxidectin, and Pyrantel chewable tablets. Protects against fleas, ticks, heartworm disease, roundworms, and hookworms. All in one delicious, beef-flavored soft chew. Use with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Dogs should be tested for existing heartworm infection prior to starting a preventive. Ask your vet about NexGard Plus chews.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother! We can do this together!
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't? Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Phantom fans, welcome to Season 6, Episode 22 of the Dump and Chase podcast. On this week's show, we'll look back at a 3-game weekend with Muskegon, look ahead to the Phantom's start of their final road trip of the regular season with 2 games in Sioux City, and we welcome back to the show number 22, Nathan Lewis. The Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio starts right now. All right, so another week here with the Dump and Chase podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Dan.
I'm drunk. Justin.
There was 2 truths and a lie. Which one was it right there?
Yeah. All right, so strange weekend to say the least.
I can't say it wasn't entertaining, but...
And in some ways, you couldn't have scripted it better. In other ways, you couldn't have scripted it if you tried.
I think we hit some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows all in one weekend wrapped up.
Yeah.
I also think when we were previewing this series coming up, I said it was going to be a knock 'em out, drag 'em out series, and sure enough, it was on Sunday.
Yeah, they really held out on that one. You were almost wrong on that one.
Right.
Yep. So the Phantoms end up picking up 3 out of a possible 6 points with this 3-game series with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. And again, like we talked about before, a lot of scoreboard watching is going to be going on now. So again, like we did last week, we're just going to take a glance through the Eastern Conference standings. So starting off, still Dubuque in first play. It's so weird to say that, and it's not Chicago. Chicago will be coming up later in the standings.
Right.
Yeah.
Dubuque in first place with 70 points and 12 games remaining in their season. Muskegon in second with 64. They have 10 and 1/3 of a game left in the season. They still haven't rescheduled that one with USA. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I know nobody's going to be happy with it.
I won't be happy if USA doesn't play. I mean, I can see them the way that game was, maybe just saying, "Hey, Muskegon won."
Or they'll be like, the 17s can't do it. We'll send the 18. We'll send the 18s out there because that's never happened before.
Yeah, it's going to be something unexpected. I have that feeling.
Yep. So Green Bay in third place with 63 points. They have 13 games remaining this season. Youngstown in fourth with 62, 11 games left in their season schedule. Madison in fifth with 54 points, 12 games left there. And Cedar Rapids, the final playoff spot with 51 points, 11 games left in their season. And then bringing up the rear, Chicago in seventh with 49 points. They have 11 games left. And the NTDP in eighth with 37 points. They have 14 games remaining on their schedule. So basically, as it stands right now, and they just announced the new, slightly new, I guess you could say, how they're going to be doing the playoff format this year. First round will still be a best of three. The second round, the conference finals, and the Clark Cup finals will all now be a best of five. The way they've been doing it in the past, even the second round was a best of three with all three games taking place at the higher seeds barn. So just for an example, if the playoffs were to start today, Dubuque and Muskegon would get the first round bye. Green Bay would be hosting Cedar Rapids. The winner of that would face Muskegon in the second round. And Youngstown would host Madison, with the winner of that series getting Dubuque as their prize. So one final little thing we're going to do here. This suggestion came to us by one of our former 222 crew members, Carrie Glenn, one of the OG podcast listeners. She had asked, because we always ask players about like their superstitions or routines or anything like that. She asked what our superstitions or routines were on game day. So I thought we could give this a quick little go around. Dan, I know this is something you've actually been chomping at the bit for.
Yeah.
So we'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I am extremely superstitious. I don't know why, but even when I was a coach for high school soccer, I do the same thing then as I do for each Phantoms game. Whatever I show up to the game dressed in, whatever, if I'm wearing a hat, whatever jersey, the pants, the shoes, whatever watch I'm wearing, if they win, I continue to wear that combination until they lose. And every time they lose, I come to the next game wearing something completely different and I get the same drink. I did this all playing, coaching. I don't know why, but that's me. And I can't explain myself, but that's what I do.
What about underwear?
Sometimes I wear them. That's the only thing I change on a daily basis.
Is there any chance the Halloween game next year we can get you to wear like a French maid outfit? Because if there was ever a time Youngstown would go on a 10-game heater at home, I would believe it would be when you wear a French maid outfit.
Why is that? That's the first thing you went to, Sam. That's
Dan. That's personal, and we don't need to get into that here.
All right,
Justin, what about you?
I'm going to go pretty much with the same thing Dan said about the clothing. I mean, if we win, particularly an impressive win, I will try to wear the same clothing, hygiene permitting. Other than that, no, I don't really have any big superstitions, mostly because like Friday games, I'm usually getting off work, rushing home, not much of a routine there. Saturday games, yeah, I try to take like a massively long nap, but I do that every Saturday regardless. And then if we're playing on Sunday, I'm so out of sorts. There's no such thing as routine or superstition.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have any I'm not a very superstitious person. I have my routines for certain, but that's just kind of the OCD part of my brain. Like if you see me walking around the arena, I have like that shoulder bag I carry with me. That's like my handheld recorder and accessories that go with it and everything else. Every time I'm leaving the house to go to a game, I have to take everything out of that bag. I'm making sure the SD card is in it. I'm making sure that the batteries are fully charged and I have extra batteries just in case. And it's like, I got to turn the recorder on and make sure what the battery level, like I go through and check all of this stuff. I do this before every single game. Other than that, and I mean, it's kind of just been in the past few years, but, showing up at the arena, if I get there before you, I'll just go up to the press booth. If I get there after you, I'll come and find you. But yeah, it's, part of our routine, we'll always go up to the press booth before the game, say hi to Matt, say hi to the guy, the guys at Western Reserve, take a sneak peek at the line charts and the starting lineups and everything like that. And
I try to promise Lynn that I'm not going to jinx us.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I did not. That was not me.
Any other news of the week or anything else we need to get? We've been doing that every home game for going on like 3 seasons now?
Yeah, something like that. I don't even know if I call that superstition or
no, it's not. No, just routine.
Yeah.
But it's every game. If I just came in and sat down and didn't do anything, I'd feel weird.
Oh, you are weird.
Well, I am, but I mean, I'm not a very superstitious person. So, all right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. The weekend recap is coming up next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of Phantoms Hockey, Western Reserve Radio. So the Phantoms this past weekend, a 3-3 series with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. We will kick it off with the game on Friday. This was a 6-5 shootout loss for the Phantoms. Basically, the story of this game was the Phantoms' inability to hold a 3-goal lead. 3 different points during this game. Youngstown was up 3-0, 4-1, and 5-2. Muskegon was able to come back and tie it in the third. The tying goal coming with about 30 seconds left in the game. Game would go to overtime. Nothing happens there. Game would go to a shootout. Muskegon would end up winning in the shootout. This was a tough one to sit there and watch.
There at one point in time, I think we all kind of saw this coming. That third period was brutal.
And that was about the most quiet I've ever been leaving a game as far as like fan interaction, stuff like that. I agree with you, Justin. After about halfway through that third period, you could feel like it's going to happen, isn't it? But come back Saturday, I was like, I still can't wrap my head around what we just watched last night.
Yeah. At the end of the second period, Youngstown's up 4-1. And then you get into the third period and Muskegon outscores Youngstown in the third period 4-1. And it was just, Youngstown, the first 2 periods of this game, they had just a ton of energy. You can tell that having Nathan Lewis back was a big bump for this team. Just playing with a lot of energy. Their stick work was excellent. Muskegon had no flow in this game through the first 2 periods.
I mentioned quite early on, it's like, I think the entire lineup here is energized just getting one player back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what the Phantoms did in that third period was they gave Muskegon hope. Muskegon came out and scored that goal really early. It was kind of like when it just kind of trickled through on right, and everyone kind of gave up on the play because they thought he had the puck, except for that one player from Muskegon, and that gave them, the Jacks, just a little slimmer of hope. And it's the only time I'll ever say this. To Muskegon's credit, they were down in the shootout. They were down in the game. They never gave up, and that's the credit I'll give to them, and now I'm done talking.
The cliches you hear and the cliches that we, have said on here many times, it's, playing on your toes versus playing on your heels. And in that, and for 2 periods, Youngstown was playing on their toes. And then that third period, they were on their heels. And it was, again, another cliche. They were not playing to win this game. They were playing to not lose this game.
And you play a 60-minute game or a 59-minute game, or if we had just tightened it up the last minute, but we never really recovered, I think, from that first goal.
And the funny thing was, we had talked about on last week's show that Youngstown's problem with Muskegon was the first period, that they were going to have to turn that around, and they did that in a big way this week. First period was Youngstown's best period this weekend. They flipped it around to where, they were handling their business in the first period and not in the third. And unfortunately, that would basically be along the same lines of what happened on Saturday. But, a couple little high points in this game. Of course, Nathan Lewis coming back, picks up a goal a minute 15 into the first period. About 30, 35 seconds into his first shift. So he didn't waste any time getting back into the groove. And then another funny part, especially when you look at Saturday and then especially Sunday, there were only 3 penalties called in this game.
They made up for it the next game, but you're right.
Yeah. I was going to say, we expected a lot of penalties this weekend. We were very surprised coming out of the first game. Yeah, we ended up making that up.
Yeah. Aiden Wright getting the start in this game, stopped 28 of 33 in the loss. Youngstown power play was 0 for 2. Muskegon power play was 1 for 1. So, yeah, we move on to Saturday. This was a 3-2 loss for the Phantoms. This was a back and forth. After the first period, Youngstown's up 1-0. Muskegon ties the game in the second. Then Youngstown goes up 2-1. Muskegon comes back and ties it a few minutes later. And then get to the third period, a little better than what the third period was on Friday. But again, Youngstown, everything that had worked for them through the first 2 periods, they just kind of abandoned in that third period. Now, again, not as bad as Friday, but you still kind of saw the same thing and, ended up with basically the same result.
Yeah, I have nothing really to say other than, again, you play a 60-minute game, you take your foot off the gas a little bit at any point, and Muskegon is going to bite you.
Yeah, I thought the third period of Saturday's game was weird. It almost felt like that was the last period of a 3-3, not the middle game. It just looked like they lost all spark energy in that third period because desperation was not something I saw when I saw the Phantoms playing that third period Saturday.
And then, Nathan Lewis in this game, again, repeat of the night before, picking up the first goal of the game. He waited a little bit longer for this one. It was about halfway through the first period, but it was on the power play, picking up his third goal of the weekend. Colin Wynn, who we have not seen in a while. This was his first start since February 16th and his first start at home since January 5th. I honestly, I can't say that Colin played a bad game. I think definitely one goal he wanted back, but team did a lot better job. Defense did a lot better job playing in front of him in this game. Muskegon only got held to 16 shots in this game. 3 in the first period and 6 in the second. So, they were doing a much better job protecting him than they have in the past. I would say 1 goal for certain. I'm sure he wants back, but all in all, I can't find anything really to complain about as far as his effort in this game.
No, you would have liked to have seen the offense put up maybe, a couple more goals in front of him. I don't even think defensively, it wasn't the worst we've seen. There were some issues, but I thought he handled himself quite well in those situations.
I think Muskegon's goalie, and Sam, you'd be so diligent to say his name, so I don't have to say Shika the Shark.
Shika Butin Gatsiev.
Him.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought he played lights on. I would give him credit saying he's the main reason why Muskegon won that game, because I thought he didn't play so well Friday or Sunday, but his Saturday game he made some excellent saves, and I think he kind of, I don't want to say stole a win, but he definitely was one of the main reasons why Muskegon came away with the victory on Saturday.
He made a diving save that I'm totally amazed.
Yeah.
Dan, just one time, try to say his name.
I don't want to insult him.
Just one time. Give it a try.
Shikadu Gachiev. I'm not even looking at his name. So
what was that again?
We're not making a sound clip here.
He's learning. He's learning.
Just give it one more try.
Shikadu. Dang it. I don't even know now. I don't even know what his name is.
Justin, do you want to give it a try?
Can I look it up first?
No.
Can you spell it?
No.
His last name is Gatsiev. His last name is Gatsiev.
Gatsiev. Yeah, I know
Gatsiev,
that. Yeah. I'm going to go by,
Shikabutin.
Shikabutin. That sounds right.
I don't know. There's a whole lot more there that I'm saying, but.
Okay, so moving into the game on Sunday, finally some good news this weekend. Youngstown picking up a 7-4 win. 7 goals total in the first period. So the lack of scoring in the game before, they really tried to make up for in this first period. Now is celebrating first goals of games. Youngstown scoring the first goal in all 3 games. Michael Monroe, who was just added to the roster, picking up his first USHL goal. So congratulations to Michael.
He was hustling all weekend. I heard other fans actually noticing, hey, who's this new guy? He's hustling. I think he won quite a few people over in that.
Yeah, it looks like he has very soft hands. And I think, as Ward said, he's got a lot of juice to his game, and he definitely hustles out there.
Yeah, so you had Youngstown up 4-1 in the first period, and then Muskegon picking up 2 goals in the later half of the period. So right away, kind of a feeling of, here we go again.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel the same way right there.
Yeah, I'm sure I vocalized that at some point myself too.
Youngstown in the second period, thankfully, put together enough, picking up 3 goals in the span of 4 minutes and 3 seconds to go up 7-3. Muskegon would pick up a power play goal late in the third to give the 7-4 final. There towards the end of the game at the 8:40 mark of the third period, we had a good old-fashioned line brawl. And this is something that had been brewing all weekend. Maybe not so much on Friday. We definitely started to brew more on Saturday. Yeah, all 10 skaters that were on the ice were given, most of them were given 2-minute roughing minors and then 10-minute misconducts. There was a few other penalties scattered in there.
I believe we got a 3-minute major power play out of that. But yeah, the refs at that point were trying to regain control, and I think pulling the play out of an NHL ref's book and just saying, hey, everybody on the ice, you're off.
Yeah, this series was for sure. You could feel it coming that this was going to happen. It all started on Sunday when Connor DeHaro laid someone out on Muskegon. I can't remember who it was towards the end of the first period. And the 2 teams had to be separated when leaving the tunnels after the first period was over. I thought it was going to happen right away in the second, but that was entertaining. I think, Sam, like you said, there's a lot of people who've been wanting to see that happen. And I'm sure all the players who were on the bench when that was happening were probably wishing they were on the ice. Probably felt a little rough because I know there isn't a single person on either bench that didn't want to get a piece of that.
Yeah, that little spat there in the third period. 20 total infractions came out of that. So if you're listening to the episode, whatever it is that you're imbibing, please raise your glass to Lynn Siegfried. This was a very trying time for her. Phantom scorekeeper.
And again, I had nothing to do with this.
Oh, she still blamed you.
I'm sure she does, and I'm not.
But yeah, wherever you are, raise your glass to Lynn Siegfried because this was marathon type scorekeeping here that she had to do in a very short amount of time. So Aiden Wright back in net for the game on Sunday, stopping 18 of 22 in the win. Youngstown 1 for 4 on the power play with a total of 24 infractions for 126 minutes. Muskegon was 3 for 7 on the power play with 20 infractions and a grand total of 113 minutes.
I do wonder how close the third period's the penalties log was compared to the very first preseason game against Muskegon when they had like a crazy amount as well, the very first time they played each other. So it's only fitting the first time they played each other ended up being almost the same exact stat line as the last period they played each other for the season during the regular season. And I also would like that. I think Colson Hanrahan has almost made himself a cult hero to a lot of Phantom fans. after throwing up some.
Not just because of his last name.
And I think Colson Hanrahan's he's very Youngstown when he's playing. He's hard work. He's gritty, and you can tell when he's out there. He's a player that you'd love to have on the ice with you at all times. And I'm glad he's on our team.
Not for the next game, though. Colson Hanrahan was suspended one game. So the Saturday game up in Sioux City, game misconduct for removing his own helmet.
And it was after the fight, too. He was just skating off.
That's what bothered. I totally get the whole. I remember the whole Petresh chanter.
You do, and you'll clean it up.
Yeah, there was an incident years ago. I believe it was in Cedar Rapids. Two players had a great fight. One guy hit his head falling down. It was pretty ugly. He was fine afterwards, returned to play. So, but there were rules enacted because of that. You can't remove your helmet. You have to leave the ice if your helmet comes off. I totally get it, but this was after the play. I don't want to judge the league, but they can't suspend me either.
I kind of took it as like a lead singer dropping the mic after walking off stage after the rock show. When he dropped his helmet after that. That's kind of how I took it.
All right, so it is now time for the Dump and Chase podcast 3 stars of the week. Kicking it off with the 3rd star. Justin, have at it.
Ryan Botterill, 2 goals, 3 assists. That's offense. That was horrible. I'm sure you'll find some way to cut that out.
Oh, no, of course I will. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So with that stunning analysis, it is now time for the 2nd star. And that is the returning Nathan Lewis, also our guest coming up in the next segment. 3 goals, 2 assists on the weekend. So, he was a player on the ice.
Great analysis.
He had offense almost immediately when he stepped on the ice.
There's not. We're going to be interviewing him in the next segment. There's really not much more I can go on right now.
Yeah.
Production.
Which brings us to our 1st star of the week, and that's Adam Patilla. He had 2 goals and 5 assists for a total of 7 points on the weekend. And I'll tell you what's really been impressing me about his game is his apples he's been dishing out. He hit Moran on a beautiful pass. He almost did it with him again this weekend. Hit Kuzma with 1, and he's really been impressing with how well-rounded he's becoming as a player this year.
All right, so that will do it for 3 stars and the weekend recap. We're going to step aside for a moment, and when we come back, we will chat with the returning Nathan Lewis. So keep it here with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
We're are back with the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So for this week's edition of Phantom Files, we welcome a player who, after spending the last 2 seasons with the Madison Capitals, was traded to the Phantoms last summer. He hails from Chicago, Illinois, and is committed to The Ohio State University. Welcome back, not only to the show, but to the ice as well, number 22, Nathan Lewis. Nathan, good to have you back, bud.
Oh, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
I mean, right off the bat, I'm happy that you're playing, but selfishly, I'm going to kind of miss our little chats in the press box before each game.
Oh, yeah. 47 of them, they were awesome, but time to get back on the ice and we'll have them after.
So right away, I'll ask you, and this started with Dan. He kind of likes to refer to you as a dinosaur. We should check with you. How do you feel about that nickname?
Who made that?
Dan did.
Oh. You're gigantic, empty. You don't look like you're a human when you're walking around.
I don't know, Dan. I don't know how we're feeling about that one.
What do you have to say for yourself, Dan?
It was actually Sam who said that.
We're just messing with you, Dan. We're messing with you.
We planned this out beforehand. We're screwing with you.
Just for the record, I was not in on it, so.
Dan, your forehead's a little shiny all of a sudden there. You want to take care of that. So, yeah, we talked to you at main camp this last year. I said we're going to forget it, but we did get you when you first came back to town midpoint of the season. Not one of our better interviews audio-wise, so we're going to make up for it now. So going back to like what we've already talked about and everything else, and looking up some stuff, I ended up seeing, and it was kind of interesting. Your birthday is 1 day before mine.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. You are July 27th. I am July 28th.
Oh, it's awesome birthdays.
And the funny thing is, I know exactly what I was doing the day you were born.
Really?
Is that appropriate?
Because in 2004 was when I turned 21.
Oh.
So on the 27th, a couple friends I had at the time took me to a bar and was telling everybody that day was my birthday, even though I didn't turn 21 until midnight.
Oh,
so I was at a bar down in East Liverpool. I was in a bar, not quite 21 yet, but everybody was being told I was 21. And then somebody slipped up when the clock hit midnight, and they looked at me and went, "Hey, it's midnight. Happy birthday!" And the bartenders went, "What?" So, and I had school the next morning. So,
oh yeah.
But yeah, I just saw that, and it dawned on me that would have been my 21st birthday, and I knew exactly what I was doing the day you were born. So
that's awesome.
So, well, not really. I feel really old right now.
Just a number.
All right. So, you get traded to the Phantoms. You go through main camp. You go through training camp. Come into preseason. And obviously, you have this laser focus on the season starting. You have your goals. You have, what you hope to get out of this season. Then the injury happens, preseason game with Muskegon. What was that transition like for you? Going from getting ready for the season to now it's surgery, it's recovery, and a long rehab.
It was different. It was it was definitely a mental battle, but I think it was a huge learning experience for me because that was the first major injury I've really dealt with. So I'm glad it kind of happened when it did and kind of out of the way, as much as I wish that I could have been playing with the boys all year. It's not a bad thing to go through that sometimes and kind of build yourself as a person. It was hard, but got through it, and I don't think I'd change it.
Okay, so we fast forward to a couple weeks ago. I was there at your first full contact practice. So, I mean, how was it not only getting back to where you're on the ice and you're, practicing, you're playing without restrictions. Then at the same time, you have coaching legend Barry Smith as a special guest during that session. I mean, that had to have been a bit of a whirlwind for you.
It was awesome to have him come out there and skate with us. I was dead. First practice back, I was dead. I was not ready for it, but it was good. It helped me get conditioned. It was good with the skills. Everything about it was good.
Did you take a hit in that practice? I didn't see all of it, but I mean, did you take a hit?
Yeah. Bump here and there, not like a, not a huge big blow up hit, but rub off the boards, get a feel for it kind of thing.
I imagine the players were like, told to, take it easy on him first practice.
Yeah. I think they were more told to, give him some bumps, get him back into it.
Now, is there a bit of a kind of a trepidation before you get that first hit to where you're like, okay, what's going to happen? And then once it happens, you're like, okay, I'm still standing. I'm good to go.
I think I was out for so long to where it was to the point where it was just like, I'm ready to get back into this. Like, let's go. Like I wanted to play against Dubuque that weekend, but I had to wait one more weekend. I was just ready to go after that.
So this past weekend, you finally make your Covelli debut as a Phantom. You kick off the scoring a minute 15 into the game. It was about 30 seconds into your first shift. I mean, were you just that impatient or?
I think it's more of we've been working so hard all year and I've been working to get back. It's kind of just like, hey, like we're ready to go. Let's do this.
How did it feel once you got that first one and not only got it, but got it that quickly?
It was more of like a relief. It's like, all right, like I'm back. Like kind of, like that first one, normally you can fight for it or it takes a couple games. It's like, all right, I'm back into this. Like, let's go.
So kind of like, I still know how to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
When you scored that goal, was that the first time you took a breath during your shift?
Oh, no. I was fine.
Yeah.
We kind of worried a little bit, because, definitely we were one of the ones that were, hyping up your return and everything else. We were kind of worried, because it's the same, like you said, it might take a couple games to kind of get back into the flow of it. And then halfway through the game, we're like, wow, we may have undersold this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't ease your way back in. It was full speed.
Yeah, it was just jump back in and get going.
That second goal was a beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It was a nice play by Bots, working hard, stealing the puck, following me up high, put the puck in the back of the net.
So when it's all said and done, 3 goals, 2 assists on the weekend. How comfortable were you feeling back on the ice by the end of the weekend? And like where during the weekend you feel like you got to that point where you were, you felt comfortable again out there?
I would say that first game I felt comfortable, but like full on, I would say the second game. That first game I was overheating a little bit. It was a little warm out there. So I was fighting the overheating a little bit, but that second game it was good to go.
Muskegon, I mean, they're a bigger built team. The 6 previous games in this series, one of the things we saw a lot of their bigger guys kind of like to push our smaller guys around, especially after the whistle. This isn't really a question, just that I noticed this and I wanted to compliment you on it. Every time you were on the ice and that happened, I mean, you immediately stepped right in between them.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, and there was a couple of the guys that when you stepped in, they just turned around and went the other way.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they were doing enough of it all year and I was kind of just over it. So it was more like a statement, like no one's fucking with us.
What was that line that Wardos used after the game Sunday? There's no tomfoolery when you're on the ice.
I think that was it.
Did you happen to catch Ward's post game on Sunday?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
You couldn't ask for a better hype man there, I would think.
No, I mean,
we try, but
no, that was awesome.
Coming from a coach who's got a pretty gnarly scar on his head too, it just adds a little bit to it as well.
Oh, 100%. That was awesome. I love him.
Is Ward kind of wanting you to stand in front of him on the bench? Has he kind of positioned you?
If I need to block the puck, the next puck that's coming over there, I will.
Because it kind of seems like right now he's using Coach Godkin as a human shield. Anytime the puck's coming up there. So, I mean, I didn't know if maybe he's positioning you in front of him as well. Yeah, 2 of his 3 sides are covered now.
Yeah, I think he's got his head on his swivel a little more now.
Yeah. I mean, you still got to be pretty impressed though that he wore one.
Oh, I was. It was a little funny, but I was.
No, I mean,
you finished the game.
yeah, that was awesome.
Now you were up in the suite when when he took that puck. I mean, were you sprinting down to the locker room to see it, or?
I think at that point it was coming towards the end of the game, so I was coming down the stairs. So I was kind of coming down the stairs right when it happened. So I had just a perfect view of it from right on the stairs in that left corner.
Did it make you feel more motivated that when you're out there to, if coach is going to wear one, then I definitely have to when I'm out there?
Oh, 100%. That was awesome.
All right. So I got a question. I got two questions for you, actually. One, as Sam alluded to earlier this season, you committed to the Ohio State University. You kind of want to speak on why you chose to go there?
So I went and took a visit there. I met everyone, met all the coaches, seen the facility. It was unbelievable. The coaches were all unbelievable, super friendly, like exactly kind of coach I want, like hard on you on the ice, this, that, and go see the facilities. They're top notch. It's Ohio State. They're going to have the best things possible to provide the players, and the way their coaches are teaching the game, improving their players, the way they want to work hard for them. That was just exactly what fit me and what I want to play for.
And lastly, your number 22, does that have any significance for you?
22. So playing in Madison, you can actually only go up to a certain point. My actual number is 63. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go back to that next year. 22 is my mom's number. So throughout my years, I've worn my brother's, my dad's, my number. So I figured these last couple of years, I'll wear that number.
Well, what was the significance of 63?
63 came from my uncle would race cars. He would do like demolition derbies. And when I was a kid, I'd be at every one of them, loved them. And he would write stuff on his car for me, stuff like that. So I just kind of stuck with that number. And then ever since I was a little kid, it kind of just stuck.
Okay, I thought maybe it was just your height when you were 12 years old, but...
No.
My oldest son is 6'4", and I still look at you and it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, well done for somebody who's a foot shorter than you. Well done.
He doesn't have a complex or anything.
No, not at all. Just a lot of neck cramps looking up interviewing you guys. All right. So before we let you out of here, we're going to rapid fire some questions for you. And kind of thinking about it, you were actually the first one we kind of did this with.
Okay.
Back on that stairwell, but I had already asked you those questions, so I had to come up with all new ones. So kicking it off, what is your favorite post-game meal?
I don't have one. I used to be very superstitious about it. And then it would be to the point where if I didn't have it, then I wouldn't be in the right headspace for the next game. So I've kind of just changed to eat whatever I can.
All right. What is the worst hockey nickname you were ever given?
Dinosaur?
I was waiting for that. I was 100% waiting on that.
I think, Slender Man. That was one of them.
I've actually referred to my oldest son as that a few times. So either that or Scarecrow. This was somebody wanted me to ask this. What is your shoe size?
13.
You're like a clown shoe on me. All right. Is there a bunk on the sleeper bus that you can fit into?
Yeah. Funny story. When I first came back, I took the sleeper back from Chicago with the guys. So I had the sling on and I got right up in one of the bunks and made it work.
Good. So you didn't have to ride underneath with the luggage. Okay.
No.
What is your go-to workout song?
Go-to workout song. Let's go. Welcome. Let's go look back at it.
All right. Have you decided on a college major?
Sports management.
Okay. All right. And who finished this off? Cubs or White Sox?
Cubs.
Okay. Are there any White Sox fans in Chicago?
There is, but they don't admit it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I never hear anybody say they're a White Sox fan. Now I know why. All right. So Nathan, before we let you out of here, is there anything you would like to say to any of the fans that'll be listening in on this?
Thank you for listening in, and hope to see you guys at the next games.
All right. So we have been talking to Phantoms forward Nathan Lewis. Nate, thanks for coming back on. And for the love of everything holy, stay healthy.
Thank you for having me, and I'll do my best.
All right, so we're going to step aside for another break. The weekend preview is coming up next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of Phantoms Hockey, Western Reserve Radio. So starting off with the upcoming games this weekend in the Eastern Conference, kicking it off on Wednesday evening, Chicago will be traveling out to Green Bay. And then moving to Friday, Cedar Rapids will be taking on the U18s. Green Bay will be welcoming the Des Moines Buccaneers into town. Chicago will be traveling out to Lincoln. Waterloo will be at Madison, and Dubuque will be at Muskegon. On Saturday, Cedar Rapids, again, second game of that series with the U18s. Waterloo will be in Green Bay. Chicago at Lincoln for the second game of that series. Dubuque at Muskegon, and Des Moines will be heading out to Madison. So that brings us to the Phantoms and this weekend's 2 games with the Sioux City Musketeers. These games taking place on Saturday and Sunday. Now, this will be the first meeting between these teams since November 9th and 10th, 2019. So 1,558 days.
Who's counting, though?
Me.
And by that, you're using a website.
No, I just brought up a calendar and started counting.
Yeah.
Youngstown all-time versus Sioux City, 11-8-3. Sioux City, because even though we've had a lot more interaction between the East and the West, I have not really been following the West like I have in the past. So not a ton of information there, but Sioux City coming into this weekend. Now they will have a game on Wednesday versus Sioux Falls, so I got to imagine that's fun for the fans. Sioux City, Sioux Falls. At least coming into that game on Wednesday, Sioux City with a record of 29-17-6. That gives them 64 points and second in the Western Conference. Last weekend, Sioux City, 2 games with Tri-City, losing the game on Friday 4-1 and then winning the game on Saturday 3-2. Youngstown coming into this weekend with a record of 27-16-8. That gives them 62 points and again, 4th in the Eastern Conference. Now, looking at these two teams, maybe other than the special teams, you look at goals scored, goals against, a lot of the metrics. These are two actually very evenly matched teams.
Evenly matched. That was the exact words I was going to use. Thank you.
Yeah, Sioux City, they're led by leading goal scorer Caden Shahan. And up until this past weekend, until Austin Bernovic had a very good weekend for Madison, he was leading the entire league in goals. He's got 35 goals and 14 assists on the year. And for anybody keeping track at home, we get to see Justin Stupka again this year. He was traded from Omaha to Sioux City early in the year, so we get to see another former Phantom out there playing.
Did we get to see him play?
He played for Omaha against us. Remember, he was part of the when Omaha started all 5 former Phantoms against us.
All that. No, I mean him. I mean seeing him in a Phantoms uniform.
Oh, sorry, no.
Other than main camp.
I mean, we wish him luck. Other than this week,
yeah. One of the when we kind of had visions of that 2-headed monster from Penn's Elite with him and Brandon Svoboda, who we'll be seeing the week after this.
Right. And for what it's worth, Sioux City, they won the Clark Cup in 21-22 the year before the Phantoms did. Not that means anything to this year, but
I mean, if Youngstown can focus the way they did on Sasha Bouvert, or how was the PA address announcer saying it? Like Bouvier or something like that?
Yeah. Bouvier, yes.
Sasha Bouvier. Yeah, you're talking about 54 point, 30 goals, 54 points on the season. This 3-game series, Youngstown held him to a goal and an assist.
Yeah, 5-on-5, I don't think he did anything. I think all his points came from the power play, if I remember correctly. Of course, it's also tough for him to score points when it seemed like the Phantoms had the puck for at least two straight periods in Muskegon's end.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. Yeah, both of his points on the power play. Yeah, so I mean, Youngstown is coming off a series where you're shutting down a top scorer. So I mean, hopefully that carries over, into this series with Sioux City. Overall, just it's going to be interesting the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, what better way to rest your body after a tough, brutal 3-game series against Muskegon with a nice road trip to the farthest 2 teams we'll ever see for the entire season.
I was going to say, yeah, and we're going to be moteling for a week and not traveling back to Youngstown as far as we can tell, and going straight to Fargo. So, yeah.
As far as we've been told, Youngstown will be busing out to Sioux City, and then instead of coming back, to drive all the way back to Fargo, which I still contend we beat them last year. They should have to come here, but it is what it is. So they're going to be hanging out west for the week and then playing the games in Fargo. Then they will be coming back.
I mean, even if you can fly, which apparently is a thing now, that's a lot of travel. So hopefully the boys enjoy it.
Yeah, this will be the last full road trip of the regular season. These 4 games, and then they'll be back in Youngstown for another 6-game homestand.
Yep.
Before the last game of the season, going up to Plymouth. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the travel plays out. I mean, it won't really have the bus legs come the Fargo series, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Yeah.
If I'm a player, I'd be glad we're playing these 2 teams at this point of the year and not in the middle of the winter where you have no idea what could happen weather-wise, and make that long trip out there and you have another situation like we did earlier in the year where, snowstorm and you can't travel anywhere. So I guess if I could pick when to play these 2 teams, either be in the very beginning of the season or towards the very end of it. So,
well, I mean, it could be 70 degrees here and they could have a 3-foot blizzard going on out there. So,
right.
I mean, from what I remember of traveling through the state, it was near 100 degrees in one part and snowing in the next. So,
how's their corn, Justin, since you talked about Nebraska's corn last episode?
It's glorious.
Welcome to the newest segment on the show. Justin rates your corn. All right. So,
I mean, it's nothing like the Corn Palace in South Dakota, but,
What kind of vacations do you take?
You've never been to Mitchell, South Dakota?
No.
At the Corn Palace?
Justin, I swear to God, the furthest west I have ever been in my life was Goshen, Indiana. Ooh. I swear that is the furthest west I have ever been in my life, was Goshen, Indiana. Do you just like drive across the state line, get out of your car, throw your hands up in the air and be like, show me your finest corn? Like, how does this work?
All of your corn belong to me.
Well, that's a fine cob.
All right. And on that note, all right, so the game on Saturday, that will be a 7:05 puck drop. That is local time. And Sunday, the puck drop will be at 4:05. Again, that will be Eastern Standard Time. Which one are we on now?
Same one as always.
Whatever Eastern, whatever time. The games will be available on Flow Sports with a very fine broadcaster from Sioux City, whose name I did not bother to look up before I did this. So, gentlemen, I think I'm pretty tapped out this week. What about you?
Time change, yada, yada. Let's just end this.
We just went through a whole soliloquy on corn. So, yes, I think we've run out of stuff to talk about this week.
Agreed.
All right, so we're going to take one more break. And when we come back, we'll wrap up this episode and look ahead to next week's show. So keep it here one more time with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
We're back, and that will do it for this week's edition of the Dump and Chase podcast. A big thanks to our guest, Nathan Lewis, and a big thanks to all of our listeners, new and old, for tuning in this week. So on next week's episode, we will be recapping these 2 road games with the Phantoms up in Sioux City, and we will be previewing the rematch of last year's Clark Cup Finals with 2 games up in Fargo. Again, games should have been played in Youngstown. So you can hear this show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Western Reserve Radio, either on westernreserveradio.com, the Live 365 or TuneIn apps, the Western Reserve Radio Facebook and Twitter pages, and the Youngstown Phantoms Facebook page. You can hear this show in its podcast format on Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, the official merch store. You can find all of these links on our website at dumpandchasepod.com. It's something I can't believe I've never really brought up before. If you're somebody that isn't big into smartphones or doesn't really have any podcasting apps, if you go to dumpandchasepod.com, there actually is an embedded player on the website where you can hear all the episodes there as well. So before we get out of here, for my co-host, Dan Conley, Justin Irwin, nice to meet you. Any final words of wisdom?
I'm grateful for the amount of knowledge I learned about corn today.
Glad to impart it.
See, I think it was a bad idea this episode for all of us to try on our new lips before we recorded, because wow. All right, so as we wrap up, remember that hockey is a sport played on ice with sticks and a puck, and our podcast is the thing you just listened to. See ya.
I'm so glad for that outro.
That tagline's almost like what Justin
Malutic Live is your home for high school sports. We have all the scores on our social media platforms throughout the games. Enjoy our timely updates from local area schools year-round. You won't get the consistency and reliability from anyone else. Our number one priority is servicing our fans and getting them live news as it's happening. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Malutic_live. And remember, our fans come first.
With over 30 years of experience, Madurix Butcher Block in Mineral Ridge is a quality-driven company focused on great personal service. Our fresh meats are of the finest cut. We make a variety of burgers, sausages, and a full line of deli meats. Using our own smokehouse, we prepare different types of jerky, snack sticks, kibasi, bacon, hot dogs, and bone-in hams. When your tummy needs some relief, call 652 Beef.